League of Legends Esports is officially over in Southeast Asia. That's right, with Team Impunity, which is a Singapore-based team, getting knocked out of the PCS after losing to PSG Academy in the Spring Promotion Tournament, and Rel here, who plays for West Point Esports and is the only Philippine players in the PCS being removed from the GCD or Global Contract Database. This actually means that as of right now, the PCS has 0 Southeast Asia players for the first time since its founding back in 2020. This issue surely will raise some questions on the actions Riot will take in the near future, and to that, I will confidently predict that Riot will not take any action at all. The reason Riot will not do anything at all is because the viewership coming from Southeast Asia is pretty much insignificant. Note that most of us in Southeast Asia don't speak Mandarin, and most of us that watch PCS will probably watch the English broadcast instead. For the entire summer split, the English broadcast of PCS averaged at 478 viewers, compared to the Taiwanese broadcast which averaged around 13,000 viewers, and this does not even include the viewership coming from the YouTube broadcast. And also, because of the fact that top teams are mainly Taiwanese teams, we can actually conclude that if Riot were to remove Southeast Asia from the PCS, nothing will change at all. Now let's move on to the reasons to why esports are failing and not popular at all in Southeast Asia. Now the reason to why esports are failing and not popular in Southeast Asia is because of the same reason to why NACL is failing. Nobody knows who any of these players are. There is almost zero interactions between the players and its viewers. Players as we know them have zero personalities. However, I don't really blame them, as Riot is not giving any kind of chances for these players to show their characters. And this is because content made by Riot is always about the Taiwanese players. Meanwhile, Southeast Asian players are usually cast aside. Even for the LCO teams, which is technically part of the PCS, they only made YouTube content once per season. To make it even worse, the teams themselves don't make any type of content with their talent at all. All the teams do is post the team scores and nothing else. Another reason to why League esports are failing and not popular in Southeast Asia, every region has star players that viewers will look up to. For example, Faker in Korea, Maple for Taiwan, Caps in Europe, and for the case of North America, players usually looked up to popular players like Doublelift or CoreJJ, or hype players like Berserker. Even in minor regions, there will always be star players like Levi in VCS, Evi that comes from the Japanese league and is playing in the LEC. Meanwhile, there hasn't been a star player that comes from Southeast Asia ever since Season 6, when Chowie was still in his top form, and even then, he didn't really have the chance to shine as he was sharing a starting role with Westdoor. And you can't talk about why esports fail in Southeast Asia without mentioning its history. Signing imports to elevate the overall skill ceiling of a team has always been common in every region, ever since Season 3. And sometimes, these imports will elevate the skill ceiling of the entire region as a whole. For example, Bjergsen coming over to North America from Europe, the duo of Huni and Rain over in EU. However, this wasn't the case for Southeast Asia. Back in the early days of League esports, or should I say its golden age, the criteria to joining a professional esports team in Southeast Asia is pretty different compared to the other regions. The fact is, nationality feels like the number one criteria to joining an esports team, and the number two is the potential of the players themselves. So for example, if you are an owner of a Philippine team, you will always try to go for a full Filipino team, even though Philippine servers has always been considered the weakest amongst the other server in Southeast Asia region since the very beginning of League of Legends. So yeah, instead of signing a couple of players that have a higher skill ceiling and experience from a better region or a country to elevate the skill ceiling of the team as a whole and lead the team to victory, we go for players that barely have competitive experience and hope for the best. Because of this, Southeast Asia as a region barely improves at all. Another reason to why League esports in Southeast Asia has never been successful at all is because of how divided the community is. Since nationality is a priority in joining a Southeast Asia esports team, viewers will only support teams that have similar nationalities to themselves. For example, if you are from the Philippines, you will naturally support Philippine teams. And if you're from Singapore, the only team you will support is a Singaporean team. Hence, even in major events where Southeast Asia do represent, it doesn't mean the entire Southeast Asia got their back. Of course, there are other reasons to why League Esports wasn't successful at all. For example, the unique way of life in Southeast Asia, and being an esports player is not considered as a legit career at all. So yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of reasons to why League Esports isn't a thing in Southeast Asia, but I'm stopping right here. If there are other reasons and haven't been mentioned here, feel free to comment it below. Now the huge question is, what should Riot do? To be honest, reintroducing an entire new league will not work at all. It will take a lot more to revive the League Esports in the region. I think that the first thing Riot should do is focus on building up local communities, as it is important to have a solid and engaging community in order to have a successful esports scene. To actually unite the entire Southeast Asia region and build a proper community, the only way is to merge all the Southeast Asia server into one mega server, just like what they did in Valorant. However, Riot did mention that this will not happen in the near future. However, I believe in taking one step at a time, and at this point, Riot should collaborate with the different small existing communities in each servers and support them in any kind of way. Also, Riot should also find ways to promote these communities so that more of us will join and increase its participants, and growing the local communities at the same time. And when the time is right, ensure that these different communities have a way to collaborate with each other. So yeah, TLDR, League Esports is donezo in Southeast Asia. As there are no longer any Southeast Asia players, the PCS hasn't really made any kind of announcement on this issue at all. And I doubt that Riot is going to do anything to improve the state of League Esports in Southeast Asia, as there is very minimal interest in the local esports scene. That's it for this video. If you like this content, give it a like. And thanks for watching till the end. I'll see you soon.